I do want to take a second to thank the other candidates that did run. It's not an easy thing.
Holy cow!
You're literally putting your name out there to invite half the town to hate you, right? Or say mean things about you, scrutinize everything you're doing, and anyways, I just want to thank those people for caring enough about the community that they were willing to put themselves through that on whatever level it was.
And all the ones that came on the show too. I really appreciate all those ones that came on the show.
Yeah, just thanks. And, just know that we appreciate that you're paying attention to the community, regardless of whatever your stances or beliefs were. I mean, I'm happy and grateful that people are involved.
Yeah, me too.
Hey everyone, the St. George election this year is incredibly important. Go to votestg.com to see who's running and what they stand for, or visit us at our voter booth at Digby's Market, Red Rock Bicycles, or down in the park.
Today's episode, we do a post-primary election recap. We cover the Congressional District 2 candidate seat, the city council seats. We go in depth on the city council, what we, as the three of us, believe about what's important about the city council, and how we've gone so far this election season. We talked a little bit about housing market and where we're at this month in September. I hope you enjoy the episode. Make sure you go to votestg.com to get more information. We got 6 candidates left to choose from in St. George. Every city in Southern Utah has 3 city council seats open for election in November. November 21st is the election. So make sure you get out the vote. Share this with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Get out the vote. This is the most important election that you will have in the next 5 years. I promise you that. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys.
You know what I've learned doing this podcast and talking to people is that I don't think people aren't actually against development. They're against bad development.
Yeah.
They get so burned by bad development because they don't pay attention to the local elections. They don't get out and vote for somebody that's got a head on their shoulders. Instead, it's a good old boys vote. Who's been around a long time, who's got the ins, and there's backdoor things that happen. There's conflicts of interest, and all of a sudden you get bad development, and that's what really drives people crazy. Good development is actually great, great for everyone.
And development needs leadership to guide the developers 100%. On what they can do, right?
100%. Well, and the developers, you and I both know this, and Jeff does as well from talking to people, is that the developers are usually great at developing because they are private industry and they're smart and they know how to do it. And what usually torpedoes that is a bad city council.
Well, I think there's a flip side to that though too. I think developers are going to go
towards city council, but a city council that doesn't understand.
A circus city council.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can get that too.
I think there's a flip side to that. I think there's developers that are going to the biggest bang for their buck, and they're going to fill in what they can make for the most money, right? And so there's this huge piece of property in Santa Clara. It's basically the last. It's in the right smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, and I think it's 18 acres.
Is that the one right by Paradise Village, right behind it?
No, it's going to be. It's on Patricia Parkway. So like Pioneer Parkway, you like go past Harmon's, like you're going towards 91, and on the right hand side, so like you turn right on to Patricia Parkway. So it's like this just big rectangular, perfect piece of property for more residential. It's houses on the one side, houses on the other side, and so this density, they've approved this density for like, I think it's 6 units per acre. 6 units per acre. But the zoning on it allows for like 12. And they went from 8 to 6 because they couldn't get approval for the original one. So there's Gouler Park. So keep going down, keep going west. Yep, see that spot right there? That big blank spot right there off Pioneer. Mm-hmm. There's that one, but the next one over. What? So just one more big block. Yep, that's the spot. It's like 18 acres, And so the developers came in here and it's a whole range. There's single family houses. There's really tight townhomes in there. It's the whole range. They put a pool. There's amenities in there. It's a big old HOA. But they literally had to cut out, I think they ended up cutting out like 22 units out of there in the city council. Like that's what they were fighting over. Like, and ultimately at the end of the day, those 22 units, that's a lot of profit for the developer. But the developer went in there with this fitting the zoning, saying, hey, this is the zone. I'm allowed to do this many units per. But they got so much pressure in saying that that was too many units for that piece of property. But if you look at the actual density versus, everything around it, it's scaled almost perfectly. So the developer did this awesome job, but going back to your point, the city council's looking at it as like, oh no, that's going to be too much traffic. It's a neighborhood.
As if 22 units is going to be
it's a big
difference up or down.
Up or down.
Right.
And it's right around the area was planned for higher density. This is the area that was planned for higher density 20 years ago. We have single family houses all over Santa Clara. And so, but watching the pressure on this one development has been really fascinating because it's exactly what we need in the area, but the neighbors and the city council can't look at it for what it is. They have to look at it on this bigger scale. Everybody gets so worked up over all these, factors that they can't control, and traffic ends up being this big, hill that everybody dies on and everybody's so upset about. They did like 3 different traffic studies on this thing.
But we've already learned that the traffic problem is a derivative of bad development and bad planning because the developers come in, they have a plan, and then so often they get, pushback from the city council that's nervous about development, and then they change it, right? So like if you look to Little Valley,
but why
like the master
nervous?
plan for Little Valley, because they just, there's a crowd that yells at them the loudest that they don't want development or whatever. And it's ironic that same crowd usually also doesn't, they want their property value to go up and they want their home to be worth more and they want to buy more real estate in town too. It's a very interesting conversation to have with people sometimes.
I'm watching Yellowstone and I'm watching,
super realistic.
It's super realistic, but it's funny because it's the exact same mentality. Like this idea that Montana doesn't want anybody else coming from out of town and using their precious lands, right? Their what was the committee?
Committee for, gosh dang it, sorry, I have it up right here.
So the special use lands or whatever, right? They don't want this prop. They want the land to stay the land. They don't want development on it. We're not here to just progress for progress sake. I understand that perspective. I actually agree with that perspective. I'm living out in Ivins. I'm looking up at the Milky Way. I don't want light pollution taking that away, right? And development's going to take that away. The more people we have here, the longer it's going to take me to get into town. Instead of 20
sensitive lands.
Sensitive lands.
It's a sensitive lands.
Sensitive lands. We do have sensitive lands. They're very precious.
But
we do.
So it's this balance. I get that it's this push and pull of development and growth and the need for it and the want to stay smaller. There's so many benefits to the small town and there's so many benefits to the city life. So we just have to do a good job of picking and giving direction for where are we going to allow for development, where are we not. Ivins, they're drawing a strong line in the sand. They don't want development. The people that live there don't want development. They're going to keep it out at every push, right? And I think they have every right to do that until the population changes to where they could want more development, right? Until the overwhelming majority of the citizens want this thing to move forward, it's not going to. We got to have this push and pull. So I can see all the sides. I'm looking at these elections, and some cities are pro-growth, some cities are not. Celeste Malloy, what she's going to do for us at the House District 2 for the Republican Party, we'll see.
She still needs to win.
She needs to win. She needs to beat Brad Green. She needs to beat Brad Green.
Who's the
what do the polls
Democrat?
look like?
It's Kathleen Rigby.
No, not Rigby. It's
not Rigby. It starts with an R though.
Yeah.
Never heard of her.
Go to votestg.com and you can find out who's running. I put her name there.
How are the polls looking for Celeste in the general compared to Mark Green?
Brad
Green. Sorry.
Oh,
I haven't seen anything yet. I
think for what Utah is, I don't think she's got a lot to worry about.
I don't think so either. I think Celeste will do a nice job. I know there was some concern about her, but I was
She's got to run again in 2 years anyway. So.
yeah.
Kathleen Reeby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wish her well, and
Reeby.
I hope her donors know they can't get their money back.
Well, I mean, if you're a Democrat living in District 2, I think you could listen to what Brad Green wants to do, and he might get your vote versus going with the Democratic ticket. His perspective, and I agree with this. 38 states are single party states, meaning they overwhelmingly vote one party because people vote down a party ticket, right? The party platforms don't match their historical platform.
No, they absolutely do not.
They don't. Those days, it's back in the day. It's funny because the Democrats used to be racists, and the Republicans were the ones fighting to end slavery, and then it flipped.
Okay,
so this was in the 60s.
Well,
it flipped.
This
legitimately was it. The KKK were dominated the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Back in their heyday,
Yeah.
the KKK were Democrats, not Republicans.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we've all seen the clips of Joe Biden talking in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just the funny thing is that we vote, like so many of the population vote this ticket thing, and then they don't realize that the party that they used to vote for
has changed.
And no longer actually matches the values in which they started.
A lot of the people that look that vote on a Republican ticket, I really believe, really well aligned with a lot of the things that JFK ran on as a Democrat.
Yeah, I completely. So looking at if going back to what I was talking about with one party ticket, if you're going to vote along party lines, I think you really need to reassess this option, especially if you're in a state that's a single party like Utah. Is it Republicans historically dominate the election process, and the party is what runs, what runs these elections. They're the ones who put up Celeste Malloy, right? The party is the one who nominated her out of the convention, and then she won the ticket, right? They supported her, and she ended up winning the ticket. So if you're wanting a third party, if you're wanting a challenge to the system, the Libertarian Party is the challenge to those systems. Because if it's overwhelming Democrats and the Republicans never win, consider supporting a Libertarian at this point and see how we can get in those single party states an actual challenger to hold the politicians accountable to what they say in their campaign. They shouldn't just have this free ticket. She makes it out of the primary. She shouldn't just be like, well, I mailed it in, I'm going to win it now, right? It shouldn't be that way.
I agree with you on that. And it's and what's interesting, and I'm not endorsing any candidate or any party here at all, is that I talk to so many people though that would vote Republican, they're registered Republican, and then you ask them like, what are your political beliefs? And they say, I'm pretty libertarian. And I go, oh, you vote that way? No, they'll never, they're not going to win. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, well, the part that to me is sad is that people just aren't paying attention to what is the, what are the stances of this particular candidate compared to just what's the party overall, right, as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've enjoyed so much about the city council election process in St. George is because no one has a party affiliation. You really have to look at the candidate directly and say, what are the stances that they're running on, and what are they going to do for me? And by the way, what are they going to do for me right here in my own community, the places that I go use and visit every single day. And there's nothing to cloud the judgment of, well, so-and-so is a Democrat or so-and-so is a Republican or so-and-so is an independent. There is no party affiliation, so to speak, at this city council.
But
level.
they have belief systems, right?
They do, but it's a more interesting opportunity to go and analyze what those belief systems are and how they're gonna represent you
based on what the role of the city council is and the decisions that they will most likely be making over the course of the next 2 years, and the way that the city council can work together. And obviously the personal beliefs will play into that a little bit, but just the job of the city council is to work together to be that buffer, like we were talking about earlier, to be the buffer between private property and what's best for the community moving forward.
Yeah, they got to be able to paint the vision. It's a council of people that are coming from all of the different segments of our city, right? So like, and agree with me whether you agree with me or not. I think we should have representation of the entire community on the council. That's why there's 5 of them, right? Is that we should have somebody who's going to be hold these things more valuable than these things. It shouldn't be an echo chamber of one belief system.
Yeah,
That's not effective.
We don't want 4 or 5 or even 3 people that think exactly the same way.
Yeah, I don't think that's healthy.
No,
That's
it's not going to be
That's
beneficial
bad at a
for
local level.
Yeah.
But
The
we do
local
need
level
somebody
is
that's
where-
willing. We need somebody who's willing to say, "Hey, I might not believe with 100% of what you believe in, but I'm going to move forward." I'll use this as an example. Because I don't care enough
Oh, boy.
to really because I don't care enough to really Okay, I'm not going to go there. The special events was put on a moratorium in St. George. And on Thursday, they finally pulled the moratorium. They detailed plans, right? Because I keep seeing this. One of the surveys was, "Are you going to ban adult entertainment from parks? Are you gonna make a law? Always a law. Will you write up a law drafted and approved by the state of Utah to eliminate?" This is a city council member, because they have all the ability to write up laws. Anyway, they're clarifying the ordinance.
City council person.
One single person can totally do this. Are they going to write up an ordinance that'll ban adult entertainment from the parks? Of course, that should be in the ordinance. Of course, that should be in the ordinance.
Yeah.
It's in the ordinance already.
My answer to that question is I don't understand the question.
Exactly. So they're clarifying what can and can't be done. What's the processes with special events? What are the rules? What aren't the rules? The drag show slipped through the cracks, if there was one even going or that was approved. Whatever the story ultimately ends up being, do we want adult entertainment where kids are playing? No. And I think 99% of our community agrees with that.
I think it's higher than that, but
99. No, I think there's a few out there that
I think
are
it's probably
no,
like
it's all right.
99.5 or
99.5 maybe. So clearly, there's not a single person running for city council that I believe really thinks that we should be having adult entertainment, inappropriate entertainment in front of kids. Right? I don't believe that. There's not a single one that I've talked to directly. I've asked the question, "Do you believe we should do this?" Not a single one of them says, "Yeah, I really think we need to be doing this." So they've settled out the argument. But what did we get caught up in? What did the article that I read? They started debating, and they tabled the discussion of having legacy special events be something that has an easier road through the approval process. Okay? So 2 of the members believe that we should have this legacy, like the rodeo is an example of this. It's been going on for 90 years. The Lions Club rodeo has been going on for 90 years. Should they have to go through the same exact process? Is there a quicker process that they can go through that's like, hey, we hold this at special event all the time. There shouldn't be, all these different, specific line items that they need to do every single time they have the rodeo. So there's this idea that we have a legacy, an upper tier version of special events, and then this lower tier. So then they get into this debate about that, where 2 of the members don't believe we should have this, and 2 of the members think we should have this. This is this type of stuff that derails everything. But this was the majority of the article was that.
It's a question that should be answered in about 7 seconds.
And we don't need to always have some creative idea on top of it too. Right. To the 2 council members that are, and it was Larkin and Hughes that were like, we should have this legacy, speedy process. Yeah. And Michelle Tanner's like, why are we playing favorites? Why does it have to be a winner or a loser? Which I thought was ironic. It seems like we always have to have the debate, which is healthy in a council, right? I want them to debate, but we just have to be able to move forward with stuff. Why are we getting so bogged down in stuff that doesn't matter, right? Some legacy process for special events. Mm-hmm. It should be very easy to solve this problem.
If the rodeo comes in one year and they're like, hey, the budget for the rodeo or the money that they're asking from the city has doubled. Hey, let's take a peek at that and figure out why. But if it's like the same thing every single year, of course we want the rodeo, like they shouldn't have to go out of their way to get a separate permit.
Yeah.
It should be easy.
So So the process, truthfully, it should be just one process for all of the events if the city's sponsoring it.
Yeah.
Right. One process. Everybody goes through it, whether it's a legacy or not. I get it that it's been going on 90 years. I can see how that could be kind of a benefit for them to do it, but I'm like, but in what respect, right? Like, is it really saving all that much time or energy if they still need approval from the city council, right? Like, why are we getting so caught up in the minutia of these processes? Make things simple and easy to get done, right? Yeah. Cut out the time and energy we're taking to do all of these things and have a black and white process. And it would be fine. It would be fine. We just get so caught up in silly, stupid things.
Yeah, it's ironic that a lot of the, the super conservative ideals is cut the fat. There's too much waste, and
okay, but I'm going to interject right there though, because where that comes from is the people that keep quoting the budget as $500 million, and it's
520, sir.
Sir, it's actually not.
519.
It's entirely factually not correct. And people that are saying that clearly do not understand the budget. And if you go back and listen to Danielle Larkin's Correct the Record, I do want to commend Danielle on her understanding of the budget and the numbers and the whole process. She really is sharp at that. I'm not saying anything else about Danielle,
whatever her other beliefs
or anything, but I will tell you that as I was very impressed going back and listening to her episode on the Correct the Record about the budget.
And I'll commend the city staff for educating her on it. She's like, I didn't know anything. I had to go learn this. It's like 400 pages, right? 407 pages. And Robert, I forget Robert's last name, but he's the one who's in charge of that works for the city with John Willis in handling this budget. Keep going. Sorry. Oh, I got to commend him too because he's done a great job.
I am typically a very, very conservative small government guy.
You're the cheapest dude I know.
I hate it.
Frugal.
You cut coupons. It's the weirdest thing that a guy of your age. I've never met anybody so young that cuts coupons as much as you do, dude. It's hilarious.
I was raised on the Millionaire Next Door.
I love it.
Is an entire principle.
So if we're going to define conservative, you for sure are conservative, my friend.
I hated seeing the fraud, waste, and abuse that happened when I was in the military. Like the federal government's ability to waste your tax. They can waste more taxes than you and your entire lineage will pay in taxes. They can lose all that money faster than you can blink. And it'll be on the dumbest, most meaningless thing, right? It really upsets me.
That's with them accounting for it.
But here's the thing is that's at the federal level. I don't give a crap about a lot of the stuff that the federal government wants to spend money on. But when it comes to my own community, the places that I go to every single day, the places that I visit, the roads that I use, the police officers or first responders that I interact with, that matters to me.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to pay any more taxes than the next guy. Okay. But if you're going to pay taxes somewhere and put dollars to use in a good spot, the local level is not a bad place to do it.
It's the best place to do it. It's the place you should be wanting your taxes to go.
If I could snap my fingers today and shift every single tax dollar I pay at the state and federal level and shift it to the city council and have them continue to run with the trajectory that they have, with the command that the city actually has on the budget, the understanding that they have, I'd feel completely okay about that. And I would not be going to the city council and asking them to cut corners on stuff. This is my community. I'm getting my tax dollars back in services and opportunity that city council.
Yeah, every time we cut money from the local tax, we're actually cutting our nose off to spite our face. Yeah. Right? We're trying to. I'm not.
It's a great Bible quote, by the way.
Is that it?
It's a Bible quote.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus. The conversation about the budget with several of the candidates, it's low-hanging fruit because you turn on Fox News or CNN and we have these conversations at the national level, and then we try to apply it to this local government, and it's too different. Yeah. It's different, and it's so easy to get people that aren't paying attention to to bite onto this thing and be like, man, that makes sense. I don't want to pay the government money either. I'm going to vote for that city council member. But at the end of the day, you won't, the parks end up getting deteriorated. The roads end up having potholes all in it. And then you go back to the city and you're like, why aren't all these things fixed? It's like, well, because you hired 4 city council members that don't want to spend any money at all. Like,
all of a sudden you get a park in Bloomington where people are getting shot in a drug deal in their car.
We have
because the infrastructure's failed because we're trying to cut every dollar possible out of the budget. Like, you know what?
It's the bullshit of having the airport being done by an outside contracting company when all the locals are like, you're going to have to do this differently because of the soil out there. And you should listen to us because, we've been building here for the better part of a century. Yeah. So maybe not have this other company. He's like, no, we're going to go with this other company. You guys in Southern Utah, you don't know how to do it. Yeah. And the locals are like, okay. And then $500 million later, they have to redo the damn airport. That's the exact example. Yeah. Why are you not going to the local government and saying, hey, we trust you to spend the money appropriately for what it is that we need done? And yes, there are some things we can cut out. I'm not going to argue with it. Sandtown Park didn't need to have their bathrooms knocked down and a whole brand new one built again. I'm not going to argue with it. That was probably not the best idea.
Yeah, to the tune of $400,000.
Exactly. Like
we probably could have had a conversation about
we probably could have done better to that, but we get caught up in all these other things. And are we going to make mistakes? 100%.
As funny as Ron Swanson is as a character, which I love it. But it works so great at the federal level, right? Yeah. Like that's
repeal the 16th Amendment.
I want Ron Swanson in Congress. I want him in the executive branch somewhere in the federal government. Okay.
Yeah.
I do not actually want Ron Swanson like on my city council.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I don't need a political party having political battles in the city council. I want people that are, what I'm looking for as I look for who I want to, back or give an endorsement to in this race, which I haven't given an endorsement to any candidate.
I have.
Okay, and
you haven't.
That's Rob. That's
your prerogative. Clear.
That's your prerogative. I personally haven't, and I'm looking for who can collaborate and work together to better and move forward at the agenda for the city that works for everyone. Right. Now, there will be inherently people that are going to be upset because you can't make everyone happy. You just can't do it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There will be winners and there will be losers, but what I want is what's good for the community as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I like conservative values, but I also want to see things function. I think just a default nuclear option isn't necessarily productive. Mm-hmm. And so
zero sum should not be the way we operate the city.
Absolutely. I'm happy to see Congress operate at a zero sum level. Like when they do nothing, right? I get a smile on my face when they're like, there's going to be a government shutdown. I'm
like, shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
But I don't want that at the city local, like the local level. I want to make sure that the community's taken care of. I care about the community in which I live, right? I love Southern Utah. I'm a transplant to Southern Utah. I live here by design. I moved here because I wanted to, because I love the community. I love the area. And I love the values that this community has, but seeking a place just to be mad or upset about something, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, is not productive at the city level, And so I have a suspicion that I may endorse a couple candidates.
Leslie Knope.
But I think there may be some that surprise people too.
Yeah.
On both ends of the spectrum, because I don't, here's the thing that people also forget. You don't have to say like, well, I'm voting down the liberal side of the ticket, or I'm voting down the self-proclaimed, conservative side of the ticket, or whatever. Right. Again, the city council is not conservatives versus liberals. It's 5 people that are working together to help the community.
Yeah. And I think I understand. I think I understand the fear of keeping the liberal mindset that is California, the extreme Seattle, the extreme Oregon, the the fear is real because there are solid examples of individuals coming into the community and taking that progressive and that liberal mentality and their moral opinion of how we're supposed to, accept everybody, and whether it's
I don't love that.
And I don't love that. But at the end of the day, from an actual governmental management, like what can we actually control? What is the city actually doing on a day-to-day basis? So why there's 5, there's also a planning commission, there's the mayor, there's a lot of checks in this whole system. Yeah. And it's not necessarily keeping everybody in this one mindset in control of what's going on. We have to have a representative group of members running the city, and I think we're going to leave it at that. But let's talk through our top 6 in St. George. Celeste Malloy took the Republican. She got on the Republican ticket, so she's your congressional District 2 candidate for the Republicans. Ivan City Council, if you want to scroll down, Mal, looks like Shane McDonald and the 2 Sharons, Sharon Gillespie and Sharon Barton, I think took those are the top 3. And then to round out that one, you're going to end up with Kevin Smith, Jenny Johnson, and then Paul Bryson are going to all be on the Ivan City ticket. Scroll down, we got Leverkin, top 6. Looks like Darren Prince, Richard Hershey, Micah Gubler, and it's everybody but John Valiant.
Sorry, John. Valiant effort.
Valiant effort, John Valenti. Hurricane.
Valenti effort. Great job, John.
Hurricane. We had quite a few running in Hurricane. Looks like our top 6. We got Joseph Preet, Drew Ellerman, Amy Warrett, Clark Fawcett, Dave Saunders, and then Terry Humphreys. Nope. Stephen Lemon. Stephen.
It's a shot in the dark in Utah.
It's Stephen. Apple Valley. I think there's something
2.
unique there.
I think there's just
there's just the 2.
I think so.
So it looks like Janet Prentice, Barrett Nelson, winners over there. St. George. Okay, we got Greg MacArthur.
Meat and potatoes right here.
Takes up the whole screen.
Greg MacArthur, Jimmy Hughes, Danielle Larkin, Brad Bennett, Paula Smith, Steve Kemp. Those are our top 6.
You know what? Before we go further, I do want to take a second to thank the other candidates that did run. It's not an easy thing.
Holy cow!
You're literally putting your name out there to invite half the town to hate you, right? Or say mean things about you, scrutinize everything you're doing, and anyways, I just want to thank those people for caring enough about the community that they were willing to put themselves through that on whatever level it was.
And all the ones that came on the show too. I really appreciate all those ones that came on the show.
Yeah, just thanks. And, just know that we appreciate that you're paying attention to the community, regardless of whatever your stances or beliefs were. I mean, I'm happy and grateful that people are involved.
Yeah, me too. Virgin Town, keep going. Looks like, I think there's only 2 in Virgin Town as well. That was a tight race right there. Woo.
That was, wow.
1 vote. April McKeon,
yeah.
April McKeon came in, slid in safe to Jean Garrett by 1 vote. So Cameron Spenlove.
For all those people that think your vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, that 1 vote.
Great example.
In Virgin Town, it definitely matters there. Well, congratulations, all those. Washington City didn't have one because there wasn't enough people running. So there's
3 seats and like 5 candidates.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And then I think the same thing in Santa Clara. And then that's it. I think that's the.
So that I think those 2. That's a good example of the citizens saying, "Hey, I think the current council is doing a great job."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
or they just don't care.
So if we jump back down to St. George, I'll tell you who I'm endorsing.
Are you ready to endorse?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm so totally. There's some people still in the race that I haven't had a direct conversation with myself.
Yeah,
and so I am.
I got to give a big shout out to Greg MacArthur. Greg raised, I think, the least amount of money. Spent the least amount of money.
Well, he certainly raised the least amount of money. He just self-funded $1,000, $1,005.
That's not even enough to make signs. He probably just
I think he
reused
only had
signs,
like
right?
7 signs. He did maybe it was a podcast. Maybe it was our podcast that just took him over the edge.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but holy cow, man. 4,400 people voted for Greg MacArthur, and you spent the least amount of money, man. Congratulations. So if it's about the money, you are an example that
He's
money
the clear
is not
front runner.
You're the clear front runner. If you just raised a little money.
On money.
Dollar weighted
We talked about
averages.
we got
He's the front runner.
we're down the rabbit hole on money. I think I can see both sides. If you raise too much money, there's the belief that you owe favors. And if you self-fund for some reason, you have some agenda because you're spending money to win a seat.
Big money.
Big money. We're talking big money.
Which is another conversation about what actually is big money, because I did ask that specific question to one of the candidates that was talking about big money, and there was no answer for what the appropriate amount.
What was
of
the
money
question?
is.
The appropriate?
Yeah, the question was, what if you think some of these candidates are big money candidates? What's an appropriate amount of money to spend? And there wasn't a good answer for it. There wasn't an answer at all.
And people are for sure going to disagree with me, but I think we should have a flat number that you're allowed to spend on a campaign, and that's it. And everybody gets to spend the exact same amount, and whatever you do with that money is your prerogative, but you can only spend X amount of dollars, right? I think there needs to be campaign finance, like massive campaign finance reform in the entire country. It should start at the top and come down, by the way, because I think the Republican super PAC has like $360 million, like $360 million. Donald Trump's trying to raise money for his legal fees. He's spending campaign finance monies for his legal fees so that he can run. That's insane to me. Yeah. Like, whatever your belief is, Donald Trump, but the whole campaign finance rules and regulations, as I've learned over the last 6 months, is legitimately the most ridiculous thing you can ever imagine. And if you think it's not that bad, just start reading some simple articles. Okay. So all that to the side, the game is what the game is right now. There isn't any rules.
Yeah.
And the candidates that typically spend the most money win. That's what the game is. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you're going to run for a political office, whether it's the city council, whether it's the mayor or whatever, raise money. Ask people to say whether you're spending $5 or $10, raise money, and then go spend that money to get in front of people, right? That's the whole, it's the game. It's a game. Running for political office is a game. And if you're going to be in it to just stand on a platform and hopefully enough people believe what you say, then sadly, you're probably not going to get much done. Because that's just not the way the game is being played.
Unless your name is Greg MacArthur.
Unless your name is Greg MacArthur, which is pretty amazing.
Which case...
But supposedly his dad, Dan MacArthur, was a mayor here for a long time. He's lived his whole life here. He knows a ton of people. Yeah. He's in the business of knowing people, right? He's a real estate. If you don't know people, you're not going to be a very good real estate person in general.
Right.
So he clearly knows a lot of people. He clearly has the support of a lot of people, but he didn't spend any money. And on the flip side, I think Danielle Larkin raised the most money, and she got the most votes by like 1,000. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what's all right, 500. I think Jimmy came in. But the incumbents, this goes back to the beginning, the very first episode I talked about this. The incumbent has the advantage. It's like 80% of the time the incumbent wins. That's overwhelming odds, right? So, and it shows the top 3 vote getters. Is it not? No, it's not the top 3. I think Paula Smith.
Because you got
I think it was Danielle, Jimmy, and Paula. So two incumbents and Paula pulling in the biggest vote getters. So two of the incumbents are the ones that commanded the most votes. I think there's something to be said for that. And Danielle raised the most money. She also raised a lot of money from a lot of different sources, which I think is a very valid and fair assessment. It's like, are you getting small donations at a large tick, or are you getting big donations from one or two candidates?
Yeah, one $25,000 donation versus $25,000 $1 donations, I think is I think that's a bit of a difference.
And Brad Green talked about that. He's like, I don't necessarily need a lot of money. I just need a lot of donors. I need a lot of people to say that they're willing to put, their own financial livelihood out into the world to give to Brad to say, hey, we want you to run and be on the ticket. And I think there's validity to those both arguments. I think there's validity to both arguments. Yeah. But I don't think that's why you don't vote for somebody just because they raise money. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Congratulations on the 6 in St. George. Congratulations to all of the people that made it this far. We're almost there, guys. I think we got 3 more months.
It's about to get real.
About to get real.
About to get real.
Got a bunch of debates on the docket all throughout the county. So the getting out the vote, looking at the numbers, I don't think we have total tallies on exactly who showed up to vote, but I think we're going to do another episode on specifically breaking down the election numbers and how many people got to the ballot box and sent their stuff in. That'll definitely be a conversation we want to look at, but we need to we can do better. We can get more attention on this. We can get more people out to the ballot box, get them educated. Vote STG.com to get educated. I think I'm going to send another round of questions out to the top 6 candidates to see if we can get maybe some more detailed Q&A on exactly what they believe in. If they want to come in and do a second interview, I'd love that. I think Brad Bennett's the only one I haven't interviewed. After a couple of requests, hopefully we can get him on the podcast to educate what his stance is on everything.
I really want to understand. I haven't had a chance. Brad is one of the people that I haven't had a chance to talk with, and I really hope that I get the chance to spend a little bit of time with Brad.
Yeah, me too.
I do. I've heard some good things, but it's always nice to have a conversation with someone.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast he did with Michelle Tanner, and he sounds like a really sharp guy. So hopefully we get an opportunity to talk to him. Yeah, and then
I think
again,
he's local dude too, born and raised in St. George.
Yeah,
if I remember it.
Yeah. I think we're gonna fold the book up on the post-election results. Let's do a quick segment on real estate, the real estate market update. So we're in September 8th, coming up end of quarter 3. We had a couple of crazy listings that had multiple offers. I want to talk about that because prices are going down, supply is going down, demand's going down. Even though the interest rates have the noose around the interest rate neck has loosened slightly over the last few weeks, but we're at a 25-year low for mortgage applications. 25-year low. Go all back to the 90s. Since we've had so few mortgage applications. Demand is just disappearing. It's evaporating. But then supply is also starting to slow down. So if supply goes down and demand goes down, prices don't change. We went down just a little bit. So total, since April of last year, we've pulled back 17.5%. So we're at about 1% a month decrease in home values. So if you're on the market right now and you're not priced competitively, because remember, your house does have all the features that you love about it. It's why you bought the house. And at the same time, when gas is cheaper on the res, people will drive they will spend
$4.25 to save $4.25 on gas.
Exactly, right? So like when it comes to price, it drives people's interest on why they pick a home
whether it makes sense or not.
Whether it makes sense or not. Exactly. They start with price. Then they say, what can I do with the money that I have? Mm-hmm. Right. And then when you're looking at all the houses that are on the market, which even though inventory is low, there's quite a few options out there. They're willing to wait. The buyers are willing to wait. So if you're a seller, you're not priced competitively enough. Every single month, your house is potentially losing a percentage, 1% every single month if you don't change it.
Yeah. If you've got $1 million home, that's $10,000 a month.
It's $10,000 a month. So if you're already not getting offers, the home should sell between 30 and 60 days, truthfully. Yeah. So you got to be priced in the market as comparison to what else is out there and what's sold previously. And then you have to make those price changes or the house won't sell. It just won't sell. The expired listings, it's through the roof again, right? Yeah. So every time I pull up the hot sheet, the number of expired listings is matching as many homes as going under contract at this point. Yeah. So pricing your house competitively is important, but then also making sure you're making those adjustments or the house won't sell and you're ultimately going to get less for it. Now, let's take the alternative viewpoint. What if we price the house too low, Jeff?
Well, the house is going to sell for what the house is going to sell for, depending on
No, so it's going to sell for what the house is worth. It's not going to sell for what it's going to
Fair
sell
enough.
for. It's going to sell for what it's worth.
Fair enough.
The market.
Keep going.
The market is price discovery.
So it's going to sell for what it's going to sell for, depending on the timeline.
Come on.
Depending on the timeline that you want, right? So take $1 million home, right? If it comps out at 800,000, and the seller thinks it's still worth $1 million because it's it's the best house in the world.
Well, it's their
It
house.
has the best view.
It's got the best view.
There's not another house with a view like
It's got
that.
the best pool.
It's
The
gunite.
best microwave.
Imported tile.
So
Italy.
you list the house for $1 million, and after 6 months, you've made the price reductions down to $800,000. It's going to sell in say 6 months for $800,000. On the flip side of that, if you list that home for $750,000, it's going to get bid up, or someone's going to offer $800,000 on that house, but it's going to happen in 3 days rather than 6 months. So the house is going to sell for what the house is going to sell for, depending on what your timeline is.
So this is an example on the extreme end with the $1 million houses, right? And so
Million might not be a good example. Maybe 500,000.
well,
median.
but what I find is that the case study that we're going to bring up right now, we had a house in Bloomington on Paiute Drive that is original from the 90s. It had some settling issues. It had polybutylene piping. It needs all new flooring.
Settling issues were very, very minor, by the way. Still,
Nonetheless,
yeah.
nevertheless, right? The house was not in like pristine condition, right? It wasn't in pristine condition,
But it has good bones.
but it had good bones. The yard was kind of a mess, right? It hadn't been lived in several months, so it had that old, like, kind of just feel to it. So when we did our market analysis, if we were to just say a 3-car garage, similar square footage in with the same age range, so 10 years older, 10 years newer,
No
right?
HOA.
No HOA. You just do a broad market analysis on it. We said, oh, it's probably going to be, if it was all redone and looked nice, it's probably going to be worth about I would say on the high end 475.
Yeah.
Like that was like our top market value, right?
Yeah.
On the low end, we had investors previously, okay, because we go to the market and we ask basically our wholesale partners, the partners that we have that fix homes up and then turn around and sell them, right, for properties that are run down. Whether there's that company that I think their name was like We Buy Ugly Houses or something like that.
Yeah,
So like if the house is just a mess, right? We have several investors that go into the house and say, hey, this is what we would pay for it, and they have a very specific number that they need to come at. So we had some investors. So 475, we felt like when it was finished, cleaned up, brought up to date, new flooring, all this stuff, 475. On the flip side, we had, these investors say like 330. I think we had one at 327, right? Mm-hmm. So we list the property at 390 and we had 15 offers. 15. It was a zoo. It was an absolute zoo. Yeah. I showed up for the open house on Saturday and I had like 15 people standing there waiting for me to get there. And I had just barely marketed. They're like, "Oh, we saw you were going to have an open house." Wow. And I was setting up my signs, and there was just a crowd of people there all day long. We had a crowd of people go through. We ended up with 15 offers, several cash, several loan. You would not believe what it went under contract for. And then, have we closed on it yet?
Today.
We closed on it today. 15 offers. It bid up several thousands of dollars over the 390. And until
several tens of thousands,
several tens of thousands. This episode will release next week anyway. So all that to be said, because I just don't want to blow up any deals ahead of time. The house ends up selling $450,000 is what that final contract is that we got on it, and the appraisal came in at what?
428.
428.
And guess what? The original price that we had, like the first kind of CMA conversation that we had with the seller was, hey, I think based on a decent timeline and a decent sales price based on comparables, I think we should list this house for 430.
Yeah. So
that was the original conversation. So we settled on 390 for a few different reasons. Like, hey, look, we don't have a huge timeline. We need to move the house fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's an estate sale.
It was an estate sale. We have maybe let's get it on the market for 2 weeks. We'll get two to three offers, and we'll go from there. But it was
so we didn't underprice it, right? Like I've had several agents be like, why did you price it so low?
So that begs the question. Okay, what if we would what would have happened if we would have listed it for $450, where it sold for?
There's no way we would have had an offer. We'd still be sitting here right now with
still
no,
be on the market,
no offers.
and it probably would have sold for $415.
Maybe it might have sold for $390.
Maybe $400. Yeah.
So because time on the market is, you're ultimately going to get less. Yeah. So when you price the house to where buyers are going to go to it, 100% of the buyer pool would be like, I want to buy that house. Second example, our property in Central, right? We list a mobile home in Central on a quarter acre. Instantly, we have multiple offers. Instantly, right? It gets bid up, okay? But what did we take? What did the sellers take? The sellers took the cleanest offer, because that's what was most important to the seller. It wasn't about getting the most money. It was getting money quickly without any headache, right? Because a lot of people talk about real estate not being a very liquid asset, right? It's like, well, it's hard to get your money out. It takes some time to sell it. Well, that's not always the case. That's not always the case. And when you price the property in this market specifically, when there's a lot of competition, when you price it to where somebody says, wow, if we don't get in there and put an offer in it right now, we're worried somebody else is going to get it. That's the best possible price to list the house at, because you're ultimately going to get in a bidding war. eBay, their whole business model is on this same competitive approach that people have. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose the house. They'll do whatever it takes to get the house. And if you would have started at the high price and there wasn't a worry that somebody else was going to pick it up because it felt kind of high, right? People don't go to it. It's a psychology piece of the whole.
They want to work, and then they want to work you over for a deal.
You won't get as much money than if you price the house in the most competitive way. Yeah. I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I don't remember.
Well, there you go.
Real estate is an illiquid asset, no matter how fast you think you can move a house. So, Rob, I have to say it.
Explain. I mean, to the sellers, they're going to get their money in 2 weeks, a week.
Yeah. But if you're selling it,
14 days.
If you're selling it at a discounted rate to accelerate the liquidation, that is the trade-off with an illiquid asset. You're making the case that real estate is in fact an illiquid asset.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. I made the case. Yeah. I just proved myself.
Boom, you're wrong.
Incorrect. Way to use your statement as the argument contradicted your statement, because I've never done that before.
Way to pat yourself on the back for being wrong.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey, I like when you correct me. And you're right more often than I'm right. You're normally right.
Maybe on the classification of assets, but that's probably about it.
I think the dartboard and the golf at the Rise conference. That was a big shout out. Okay. This good segue. Big shout out to Vibrant Management. Breck Dockstetter. Yeah. Cody Aiden, Megan Aiden.
They have a beautiful property out in Springdale.
I think they have several that they're managing.
Yeah, but the Watchman Villas.
Yep,
super cool property out there.
Shout out to the winner.
And
shout out to the winner,
Kelsey Hunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we did a drawing at the Rise Business Conference last week, and we gave away a 2-night stay at the Watchman Villas, courtesy of Vibrant Management. Thank you very much, those guys. And Kelsey Hunt. She won. Who does she work for?
She owns
Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Yeah, she was on Derek's podcast.
Oh, that's right.
My wife loves Nothing Bundt Cakes. They are good. They are really good. My wife loved going there when we lived up in Utah County.
It's off River Road.
She was it's next to Cafe Rio down here.
I think they're going a second location too. Maybe.
Oh, really?
Maybe, I don't know.
That's a good question.
They're good.
But if you need a car brush, go grab a
car brush.
A car brush, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
You need some carbs.
Oh, carb.
Yeah, a car brush. Yeah. Jeff, the car guy. I thought you were.
He's on the carnivore diet right now too, and I can tell his energy's low.
Bags under my eyes.
He's not feeling it, guys.
My body needs carbs, man.
Your body does need carbs. Okay. However,
I'm tabling that conversation. I'm not a nutritionist.
You guys are like yin and yang right now. He eats too many carbs. You're at zero carbs.
I did 6 weeks of no meat like 4 years ago, just like only plant-based stuff. Felt the same way.
Felt crappy.
Horrible. I just need a good
bread. Yes, we got sidetracked. Kelsey Hunt, congratulations! Thank you, Vibrant Management, for the donation of that giveaway. So big shout out. And then we had a runner-up.
Sponsored by
Elevate
Home Warranties.
Heather Bell and Elevate Home Warranty. Huge shout out to them. We did a massive Minky blanket. It was awesome.
So cool. Those are such nice blankets.
One of the supersized ones. And that was Natalie Young. Yeah, Natalie Young. Natalie Young with Health and Wellness, Premier Health and Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a launch on September 13th because they're opening up their spa. So it's the Health and Wellness Spa. So Natalie Young's doing that. And so she won that. She was the runner-up prize winner. And it's funny because when she came up to do the little putt-putt to win it, she's like, I'm going to win this. Mm-hmm. She called it.
Yeah, she was like the only one that was like, I'm getting that blanket. I want it. She visualized it and made it happen.
I don't know really anything about her other than when she rolled up to that and grabbed the putter. That was the cleanest putt I saw all day. And she was a ringer on that. She's got to be a golfer big time.
Well, she wanted that blanket more than anybody who walked up there either. And she got it, cool. Which is pretty cool. So big shout out to them. So thank you, Heather Bell, Elevate Home Warranty. If you don't have home warranty, I think it's worth it. American,
you can get a home warranty at any point. You don't have to get one right when you buy a house. A lot of people, I've heard that multiple times where someone's like, "Oh, I wish I could buy a home warranty for my house."
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you've been there for one day.
They can be a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie. They can be absolutely getting the home warranty company to get the person out there to do the repair because of having to jump all those hoops. But that's how it actually pays for itself. It's how it. If you're not willing to go through some of the difficultness of having a third party manage your repair, because it's sometimes easier to just call the plumber, right, and say, hey, I need this done, and then the plumber gets it done.
My in-laws have gotten a new pool heater, a new water heater, and a whole new HVAC system.
I've gotten a whole new
from their warranty.
Elevate Home Warranty, new microwave, new dishwasher, new garage door opener, and I got it was like a discount on the HVAC system because of compatibility issues.
You got to update. It's got new HVAC systems have new Freon now. So if you've got old Freon, you have to update it, and there's an actual physical cost.
So there was some cost to that, but I think it still ended up saving me like $4,000 on just the HVAC system, which it's like $600 a year, or it's like $650 a year to have my home warranty. So, and I've had the house for 7 years, so for sure I have made my money back and then some. If you don't have a home warranty,
it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. There's some things
that's Rob's own personal experience.
Yeah, that's my experience for sure. Okay. I think that's it for today. Thanks guys for tuning in. If you stuck with the whole thing, get out the vote, votestg.com. Elections November 21st.
Tell people about votestg.com.
Oh, yes,
so many people just don't know that it's there. I was out last night.
Send this episode to somebody. If you got value out of the episode too, please send that
somebody
episode to
legitimately was like, we were talking about the podcast, and they're like, I just wish there was a website that I could go to, and you could like click on the candidates, and it would tell you what their position was on major items. And we're like, we have it. It's votestg.com. And he's like, no kidding. I'm like, yeah.
And then,
check it out.
Later on in the conversation, we were still talking about it, and he was like, yeah, whoever put that together did a really good job. And I was like, he's sitting right there.
Yeah.
It was me.
Like,
Rob, the little WordPress.
My WordPress.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
It's simple though, which is nice.
It is simple. And because I'm simple, I'm just a simple man, just trying to get the information out there. I have my own opinions though. Okay. I have my own opinions.
How dare you?
You're allowed to have your own opinions.
But the website is not geared to any agenda, any belief system. It's clear, concise information about the candidates and the topics, the important topics, the problems that are in Southern Utah, the actual problems that are. Let's stay focused on solving problems, not creating new ones. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye.
Bye.